how to make LinkedIn work for you. LinkedIn is a fabulously productive platform once you know all its ins and outs. And so I'm glad you're with us today to learn exactly how you can use LinkedIn to maximum benefit. My company is the Countess Group Marketing and Communications. We are not only experts on LinkedIn. We've been using LinkedIn almost since it rolled out, but also we're Constant Contact partners, masters certified by Constant Contact. We're also Microsoft sales specialists and Google partners as well. The Countess Group is a full-service marketing consultancy. We can help you put together a strategic marketing and communications program for your business or nonprofit. If you need help with email marketing, social media marketing, if you need a website built, PR, video marketing, just about anything related to marketing, we can help you with. And here's my contact information. And by the way, you'll get a copy of all of the slides that you see on screen in your email, as long as you've provided your updated contact information upon registration. We are very, very active on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, and as well as the other social channels that you see on screen. And I encourage you to follow us on each one of those channels. And the reason for that is we are always providing helpful information for people who want to grow their business or grow their nonprofit. And we post on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn in particular on average 3 to 5 times a day. So you'll always find information that's helpful and relevant to you. In terms of my own background, I spent 22 years at Motorola. I've also spent time at Marriott, a company that now is part of CVS. I'm still an equity partner in Ascend Marketing, which is a firm that has 40 marketing professionals. I've worked at Datamax O'Neil as well. So a very well-rounded background spanning over 25 years at Fortune 100 companies. The Countess Group is now in its 15th year, and the logos that you see on screen represent some of the better-known clients, but mostly we've worked with scores, if not hundreds, of small to medium-sized businesses and nonprofits over that 15-year span. Businesses just like yours, just like mine. Having been in a corporate environment for a long time and having the benefit and luxury of having staff to do what needs to be done, and now having been an entrepreneur for the last 15 years, I totally get it. There's so little time to get everything done that you need to get done in order to be successful and productive and to be able to spend time doing the things that you really want to be doing, much less the marketing of your business. So you're in the right place today where you're going to learn about LinkedIn and how to make LinkedIn work for your business. We're going to start off by giving you some fast facts about LinkedIn. LinkedIn this year will be 12 years old. It started in 2003. It actually is the granddaddy or grandmother of social media channels. It has grown very significantly over the last 12 years. This is my member number. And what you can see here is I joined LinkedIn before there were even 1 million members. And as of its most recent ending of a quarter, LinkedIn reported 340 million members. That is pretty dramatic growth. LinkedIn is growing today at over 1 million new members every week. So you can appreciate the size of it and think about it in terms of a search engine as well. When people are looking for people who do what you do, or if they're looking for products and services that you offer, they're going to LinkedIn very often. It is the business-to-business professional social network with over 4.2 billion searches done on LinkedIn profiles last year. All 500 of the Fortune 500 are using LinkedIn. Sometimes they're using it to find new employees. Oftentimes they're using it to create thought leadership platforms. They're using it to generate new customers. They're using it, and I'll show you how in a little while. They're using it to find new customers, much as you might want to do yourself. There are over 2 million groups on LinkedIn, and we'll spend some time talking about those groups in a few minutes. If you have an affinity group, if you're an alum of a university or a company, if you have a special interest, the odds are pretty good that you'll find a group on LinkedIn, at least one of those, that fits your needs. Over 3 million businesses are using LinkedIn today. So again, it's an extraordinarily powerful tool. Take a look at this in terms of usage by channel. Far and away, Facebook is the 800-pound gorilla, with more than 58% of people having a Facebook personal profile. But LinkedIn ranks second. Over 17% of people who are using the internet have a LinkedIn profile. And you can see the ranking of all the rest. What this says to you is that, of course, you need to be on Facebook. Everybody is. Facebook has nearly 2 billion members. But LinkedIn, with 340 million, ranks second. And so if you are looking for people or looking to be found, you need to be using LinkedIn. I want to ask you this question. I'm going to launch another poll for you. So here is what I'm asking this time around. How would you characterize your use of LinkedIn so far? Do you consider yourself a beginner, an intermediate user, or an advanced user? And this will help me help you in terms of how we design the rest of this webinar. Okay, so we'll close this poll. And here's what you said. About 80% of you consider yourselves beginners, and about 20% consider yourselves advanced users. And that's helpful. This will enable us to really give you the information you need in order to move forward. So knowing that, let me present this to you. It's that 88% of LinkedIn users log into LinkedIn at least once a week. Let me repeat that. 88% of LinkedIn users are logging into LinkedIn at least once a week. Now, the important point here is that, as with all social media, LinkedIn is not a spectator sport. You not only need to log in, but you really need to participate in order to get the full benefit out of your LinkedIn membership. In terms of does LinkedIn really generate business? Well, I think the answer clearly, based on this chart, is yes, beyond the shadow of a doubt. What you're looking at here is a chart that is a couple of years old. This is the latest data available. But what it says here is that 62% of people were generating new customers using LinkedIn, and that's to company blogs and Facebook and Twitter. So clearly, it is a growth engine for people who are looking for business, like you. Now, LinkedIn has been on an acquisition spree. What I mean by that is they have recently acquired companies such as Bezo and Newsel. Newsel is a site, it's newsel.com, and there you can find news and information released generally by companies or individuals, press releases and news articles about them. And LinkedIn just recently acquired lynda.com, which is an online service that provides online training on just about anything you would like to know about. So if you have an online product or a software package, let's say, for example, you're using Word or PowerPoint or LinkedIn or Excel, for example, and you want to know more about Excel or PowerPoint or Word or Adobe Acrobat or Salesforce.com or whatever, lynda.com is one of the premier providers. It's on a subscription basis. And what this is an indication of is how LinkedIn is really focusing on content. Not as much on the job search as it was known for 10 years ago, but much more now as the place for business professionals to turn to when they're looking to learn about people, subjects, software, whatever it may be. So to answer the question, well, if I'm a LinkedIn member, really what's in it for me? Well, today it's not who you know, it's much more about who knows you. So whether you are a job seeker or whether you're looking to grow your business, LinkedIn will help you. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's jump into this. And again, at any time along the way, if you have a question, please go ahead and use the question box, and we'll go ahead and provide answers for you during the course of this webinar. So this is a look. This is a screenshot. You're looking here at my home page fairly recently. And what you'll see here, based on where the red dot is right now, is this is a place where you can share an update, similar to what you might do on Facebook or Twitter, for example. And I can go ahead and add an update here in this box and then click the share button. I also have the option of posting that update on Twitter. I can also attach a link. I would just simply caution you that if you are using it to post on Twitter as simultaneously with your LinkedIn post, you'll have to keep that post fairly short, because if it's longer than 140 characters, Twitter will truncate it. So you want to be sure it's fairly short. Down here below is the area called the LinkedIn Pulse. This is what they call the news feed on other social media like Twitter and like Facebook. Over on this side, it's people you may know. And I'll talk more about this in these other sections here in just a few moments. Your LinkedIn profile is critical. As with most things on the web, LinkedIn is a search engine in and of itself. It is keyword based. If you want someone to be able to find you, you need to be sure that the right keywords are in your profile. So in this example, I have presented myself as a strategic marketing and communications VP, director, or consultant. I encourage people to add a phone number right up there in the title, as well as an email address. And the reason for that is you're on LinkedIn because you want to be found. And you want to make it easy for people to reach out to you once they find you. We're going to talk in a few moments about how you need to make it as easy as possible for people to find you. This is just one way to do that. The other thing that is very important is to fill out this area down below in your profile, which gives you an opportunity to present what you do currently and what you did in the past, as well as your education. Now, there are people who may be reluctant to include that kind of information. But again, if you want to be found, people are doing searches up here in the search box all the time. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to find people that I used to work with, or maybe I would be looking for a job at Marriott. Well, if I have Marriott in the keywords, then I want to find anybody who is working or maybe used to work at Marriott. And so it's critical to include as much as you possibly can in your profile. Down at the bottom of your profile, you also have an opportunity to add personal information. Again, I would encourage you to add a phone number, add an email address. If you're on Skype, you can certainly include that. Adding a birthday is a personal choice, as well as marital status. What I strongly recommend that you do, though, is if you would like to include a birthday, do not include the year. Everyone is very concerned, rightfully so, about identity theft, so you want to limit the birthday information to just the month and day. You want to make it easy for people to find you. And when you're out networking, you probably have business cards with you. This is a screenshot of my own business card. What I've done with respect to LinkedIn is, as you can see in the area that's circled in red, I've included my LinkedIn URL. The reason that I do that is it's a lot more convenient to hand out a business card that has all of your information accessible. If I use a business card, then I don't have to carry around resumes or brochures about my company. I don't have to carry around CDs or anything of that nature. You can post virtually everything you wish to on your LinkedIn profile, on your personal page, and on your company page. So now, let's talk a little bit about connections. Connections are at the heart of what your LinkedIn experience is about. Now, I'm going to launch another survey here just to get a feel for the representation of people on the webinar. So if you would, just give me a quick response here. What is the current size of your LinkedIn first circle of contacts? We'll give you another few seconds before we close the poll. Okay. And here is what you said. It looks like most of you have under 100 contacts, and the rest of you on the webinar have 500 or fewer contacts. Now, this is a great place to start. We're going to talk about what your ideal should be in terms of adding to your connections. Again, connections are at the heart of what makes LinkedIn so powerful, and it's based upon the 6 degrees of separation. So let's go through and talk about how we go about building up your connections. What you'll see here in this screenshot is at the time this screenshot was taken, I had 1,900 plus connections, first circle. That's an abnormally high number, by the way. But what that does is it gives you a window into everybody else that may be in your circle of influence, maybe not directly today. One of the ways you get to grow that number fairly quickly is by participating actively. Share and update. It doesn't have to be every day. Twice a week would be okay. 3 times a week is a little bit better. But you do want to actively put posts in that box there and share it with your audience. When you do that, those updates will show up in the news feeds, the profile, the pulse of people who are following you. And in your pulse, you have an opportunity to look at all updates from everyone in your network. You can limit what you see to just posts of coworkers. You can look at things that are simply shared by other people in your network, and then there are other options as well. I would encourage you to take a look at your pulse as frequently as possible, because what happens in there is, as you can see in the very top item, we have an individual who it's showing is now connected to another individual. And that may not be someone you know, but it may be somebody that you would be interested in connecting to. And again, the larger your network, the better. So when we talk about connections, one of the areas that you'll find to be of high value to you is this area in the upper left-hand corner of your screen, which is the profiles of people that you recently visited. Because it may be that you were in the middle of something and you checked out a profile, but maybe did or did not take the time to reach out to that individual. And what LinkedIn allows you to do is send a message directly to these individuals, or allows you to see, by way of keyword search, other people who are similar to the people that are highlighted. So in this example, Dana is CEO of a barcode printing company. I could send him a message, or I can also have LinkedIn find people who are similar to Dana. Maybe they are CEOs. Maybe they are in the barcode printing industry. The area here of people you may know. This is LinkedIn looking at your profile and comparing it to other people with profiles that have a similar work record. So in this example, this individual, Jeffrey, currently is a senior business analyst at Harley-Davidson. But LinkedIn knows that Jeffrey and I at some point worked together at Motorola. And so for that reason, and we're not connected yet. And LinkedIn knows that. So it's offering me an opportunity to easily connect with Jeffrey. This area of who's viewed your profile also can be quite valuable in a number of ways. One of the ways is, and I'll show you a direct example here in just a moment, but one of those ways can be that maybe it's somebody that you used to work with that you'd like to remain in contact with. Let's use this example right here. This is an actual look at my profile and who's viewed my profile. And what you see in this list here, I'll blow up one section of it for you. Here's an example where Sharita Caesar is someone that viewed my profile the day before this screenshot was taken. And because we are as second-level connections to one another, LinkedIn says, well, you folks are not connected yet. Maybe you want to connect with one another. And it makes it very easy by just clicking the connect button. Privacy settings on LinkedIn are really quite strong. So here's an example where someone at Global 5 Communications viewed my profile, but they have kept their identity private. And again, that's something that you can easily do in the settings for your LinkedIn profile as well. Here's an example where Chris and I are first-level connections. And because we're first-level connections, rather than it be a connect button, instead, it's a message button that LinkedIn provides to make it easy for me to reconnect with Chris. In this chart, what you're looking at is who is viewing your profile and how often people are viewing you. And this gives you a good sense of two things. One is your profile strong enough that people are looking at you regularly? And second, the more frequently people are looking at your profile, the fresher and more relevant your content is. If you see that your views are dropping off, what that would suggest is that you're not posting frequently enough. So then that begs the question, well, where do you start? Because many of you have fewer than 100 connections in your first circle so far. The obvious question is, well, how do I grow this thing? So let's imagine that this individual is you. Well, the first thing you want to do is start with people you know. Invite family, relatives, and friends to join your network. With 300 million people already using LinkedIn, the odds are pretty good that you have family members and relatives and friends that are using LinkedIn that you're not familiar with. And I'll show you how to find those people too. After you've invited your family and relatives and friends, then invite your business contacts. And as people accept those invitations, then your network begins to grow. It starts to look something like this. The next step then is to find people with whom you have worked in the past, and then find people with whom you have done business. Maybe they're in the same industry. Maybe you've done business with them either as a vendor, supplier, or maybe as a customer. And as they begin to accept your invitation, then your network begins to look something like this. Next, you find other people who work in your industry. Now, you may think about this in terms of maybe they are companies that you used to work for, but it's okay also to invite people who may be your competitor. And the reason for that is this is a very big world. This isn't like things were 5, 10, 15 years ago where the silos were up. There are people that maybe have access to potential customers that you have not yet found access to. So it's okay. Find those who work in your industry. If you're not comfortable inviting someone who you know is working at a competing industry, or rather at a competing company in your industry, you can work with other people who are doing business in industries that are related to the industries that you serve. And again, as they accept your invitation, your network starts to grow rather quickly. Here's another way to get your LinkedIn network to grow, and this is to go to contacts.linkedin.com. When you do that, what LinkedIn will do is, at your option, it doesn't have to be, you can switch it off if you like, but LinkedIn Contacts can sync all of your address books and your emails and your calendars and keep them all up to date in one place on your LinkedIn profile. And so what that begins to look like is something like this, where what LinkedIn is doing here, again, this is with your approval, you can turn them off at will, is in this example, it is looking at not only my LinkedIn contacts, but it's also looking at my Gmail account, my Yahoo account, my Yahoo Calendar, my Outlook email, and so on. And the only way it can actually go ahead and do that is if you provide the information to LinkedIn to do that. So you don't have to be concerned about it just randomly going in and inviting people to your LinkedIn network. Here's the other thing that's very, very valuable on LinkedIn. And this is a way for you to automatically, without any effort really whatsoever, is to stay in touch with your contacts. So in this example, here's an individual named Ray, and Ray has a new position. LinkedIn knows that because Ray updated his own profile, where he's now Director of Human Resources. What LinkedIn allows you to do easily is to send congratulations to the individual. By clicking on the Congratulate button, it pre-populates this message box that says congrats. You can go ahead and change that any way you like. Hit comment, and it posts that congratulations on Ray's timeline. He can choose, by the way, whether to have it display or not. Here's an example where this person had a birthday, and you can easily say happy birthday just the same way. Just click the button, and it pre-populates a message. All you need to do is hit send message, and it goes out for you. The next part of LinkedIn that's very important and popular and valuable for you to use is the recommendations area. And recommendations you can think of as testimonials. Just as someone might write a testimonial for you on LinkedIn, they're called recommendations. And you can quickly scan here and see this is among the many recommendations I've got, where in this case it says Ken is a multidisciplined strategic thinker and so on. The next one down says Ken listens to the client. By doing so, he's able to provide strong leadership. These are great things. You have an option to post those, make them visible on your profile or not. If the individual has written something that you'd like to have changed, before accepting that recommendation for posting, you can send a note back to them asking them to edit the recommendation for you. And if they've taken the time to write the recommendation in the first place, the odds are pretty good they'll go ahead and accommodate your request. And if someone does that for you, if they've written a recommendation as a courtesy, if you think highly enough of the individual, it would be great to write a recommendation back and allow that person to post your recommendation on their timeline. Next comes endorsements. Endorsements are best characterized as a like on Facebook or a like on Twitter. In this example, what you're looking at is 7 people who have been endorsed by other people for their skills and expertise. And what you see in this example is that Kelly was endorsed by David for recruiting. Now, this is something that Kelly has chosen to allow to appear on her profile. You can shut that off if you like. My recommendation would be to leave it on because you want to get as much exposure as you can possibly get. The more often that things show up in your news feed, the more recommendations and endorsements you get, the more you show up in the news feeds of people who are following you. And that keeps you on their radar screen. And that's really what you want to do. In order to build your business, you want to get as much exposure as you can. That is, after all, why you're using social media in the first place, isn't it? When you're doing endorsements for people, what will happen is after you've provided endorsements, this box may show up. And in this example, it says, does Jane have these skills or expertise? Now, I know Jane through networking, so I don't necessarily know her for all of those things that are identified by LinkedIn. These are based on keywords that show up in Jane's profile. So you can easily knock out the ones that are not relevant enough to you if you don't know that person all that well. You can go ahead and skip altogether or just endorse for a few of those. What happens, though, after you endorse someone is LinkedIn's technology says, oh, well, since you've made some endorsements, maybe you'll be willing to endorse some other people as well. And you can go ahead and select the ones that you'd like to endorse, or you can dismiss them, you could skip it, you could close it out altogether. What winds up happening on your profile is something like this, where you'll have people who over time generate a significant number of endorsements for you. And this is credibility for you. Now, they don't have the strength that a recommendation, a verbal recommendation has, but this gives someone who's following you or who may follow you or may seek to do business with you a clear indication that you're a reputable individual who has a wide following. Now let's talk about LinkedIn. We're going to spend quite a few minutes in the area of groups. Now, the reason is that groups should be a key element of your business strategy. And as I've mentioned before, it's not a passive sport. You really do want to engage potential customers, not just be a stalker, but actually get involved in each of the groups. And here's one of the major reasons, is that people who post or engage in group discussions get an average of 4 times as many profile views as people who do not engage in the groups. So where do you start? Well, you look for groups that are in your industry, and if there isn't a group for your industry, you can create one, but I'll caution you that you then have to do the marketing for that group so people can find it. With 2 million groups out there, the odds are pretty good that you'll find plenty of groups that will warrant your attention. Alumni groups are great, powerful sources of contacts as well. So if you've graduated from a college, or even for those of us who have worked for a company, big or small, after we leave, oftentimes we refer to ourselves as alumni. These are great sources, very powerful sources of contacts for you. So here's an example. I mentioned earlier that I spent more than 2 decades at Motorola. And here's a Motorola alumni group on LinkedIn. And at the time this screenshot was taken, there were nearly 25,000 members, many of whom were people that I knew. And that's a great way to reconnect, but also if you're looking to generate business or if you're looking for a new job, these are people in all likelihood who know who you are and know what you do. LinkedIn will also summarize for you so you can see what's new in your groups. And this is a screenshot of some of the 50-some-odd groups that I am a member of. LinkedIn will also recommend groups that you may be interested in, and that is based on the keywords in your profile. And so in my example, in my case, my profile has the words marketing and social media throughout. So in this case, LinkedIn is recommending that I join the social media marketing group and the Pfeiffer & Company group and the social media strategies group. So based on your own profile, LinkedIn will recommend different groups for you to join as well. Again, there are over 2 million LinkedIn groups. If by some odd chance there isn't a group that you think is a good one for you to be a member of, then go ahead and create your own. But again, I caution you that you then have to go ahead and market the group. Let people know that the group is even out there. But joining groups is not a spectator sport. You have to join the conversation. LinkedIn, as it turns out, is one of the most popular social networks for content marketing. So what is content marketing? This is the information that you find on the web that helps you grow your business better. This is a way for you to find information that is relevant, educational, strategic, and not sales-oriented. And so as you can see here, by a pretty significant margin, LinkedIn is the most popular social network for content marketing. And compare it to other tools such as YouTube and Google Plus and so on. And you'll see that LinkedIn really can be very powerful for you. Now let's talk about companies. What you can see over here is that, as I mentioned earlier, there are over 3 million companies on LinkedIn. So let's talk about how you can use this functionality to help you. So let's think about companies that perhaps you might like to target. Well, LinkedIn allows you very easily to find target companies. And you do so by going into that search bar in the upper area where I have it circled in red. That's the search bar, which I've set to search for companies. And what we would do in this particular example is we're going to look for mid-sized software companies with employees in the Orlando area. Again, this is just an example. What I'm doing in this example, though, is I'm using the advanced search tool on LinkedIn, which gives me a menu of different options to choose from. So let's start by selecting company size. In this example, I'm looking for companies with 51 to 200 employees in the Orlando area. And the reason that I'm looking for this size is this tells me that they have a fairly significant presence. If you look at the number up here of companies with 1 to 10 employees, the odds are pretty good that these employees are salespeople or sales support people working out of their home. So I've gone with these mid-sized companies. There are 51 to 200 employees, and this says there are 16 of them that are in the Orlando area. Next, I'm going to say, okay, it's software companies in Orlando with 51 to 200 employees, and there are 16 of them, and here's a partial listing of those companies. And as you take a look at these, some of them have a significant number of followers. So they're good-sized, reputable companies in the geography that I'm looking to search. With over 3 million companies with company pages on LinkedIn, there's a wealth of information out there. And those companies may be posting products, services, job openings, news clips. But when you go to their company pages, you can also view the employees who have listed their employer. And so there are multiple opportunities, different ways that you can use that information to your benefit. And again, you'll get a copy of all of this information at the end of the webinar. You can find additional resources about company pages themselves at these 2 URLs. You'll be able to copy and paste that information. Now let's talk about a way that you can find leads using LinkedIn. Well, again, we're going to use the advanced search, and when we do that, for people, it populates this left column with these choices: keywords, first name, last name, title, company, school, and where that individual may be located. You can also take a look at where they are in relation to you and your LinkedIn network, or that you can look for first connection, second level connection, people who are members of the same groups that you're members of, and so on. So in this example, I went ahead and looked for, using the keyword construction and Disney, and using the Maitland, Florida zip code, and I'm looking for all LinkedIn members, and these are identified by these 4 boxes that have been circled. So again, I'm looking for anybody in construction, at Disney, in the Maitland, Florida area. What I chose was within 50 miles of Maitland because I didn't know the zip codes for Walt Disney World, and I wanted to limit the search to Disney World in Florida. I did not want Europe, Japan, California, and so on, and I wanted all LinkedIn members. And here's what that search result showed me. 182 people working at Disney in Orlando that had something related to construction in their profile. So imagine that you are a concrete company looking to find out about projects that may be coming up, or maybe you're in the business of serving construction companies. There are any number of ways you can think of that information would be of value to you. It's important to measure your results, and there are lots and lots of tools on LinkedIn that enable you to measure your results. Among them being, you can take a look at the level of individual at a company that's looking at your profile or visiting your company page. You can determine whether these are senior level people, junior level people. You can do a rough estimate of whether they may be coming to your page to look for a job or maybe to provide a service offering for you. But this is something that we would cover in a different webinar in detail, but suffice to say that there's a dramatic amount of information that you can glean from your LinkedIn account. LinkedIn is always laying out new tools. Here's an example of one of them. And this is called what they call an Outlook Social Connector. And what this particular tool does is when you install it onto your computer, if you're using Outlook, what it will do is it will do a lookup for you and tell you who within your network is using LinkedIn today and enable you to message them and connect with them. They already know you, so it would be a good way for you to quickly ramp up your network. And here are a couple of other items. One more thing is that they're in the upper part of the menu bar, and they move this around from time to time. In this example, you'll see the number 8 in red, and this showed that I had some new notifications, and the flag here is a different series of notifications. And it tells me in this case that I had 2 new connections, and I had other people in my network who had either changed jobs or posted something or did an endorsement. And this is another way to get a good read on people who are following you. And these are great ways for you to return the favor and follow them back. Well, here's another bonus. When you make a change in your profile, you have the option of allowing people in your network to see all of the changes in your profile. In this specific example, I had updated my profile to indicate that I was on retainer now for one of my client companies. And I allowed LinkedIn to post that change to my entire network, and I had 26 people who liked the new position, just like a like on other social media. But what that did was that told me who my followers are and who's really following, because they took the time to like the change. And what I did in that case was I sent them a note back. These are all the people that at that point had liked the change, and I wrote back a thank you. And again, it's another way to continue the conversation, to keep people engaged, keep them involved, and grow your network. And here's another bonus. Let's say you're looking for a job. Based on your keywords, LinkedIn will actually go ahead and recommend jobs that you may be interested in. And you could tell LinkedIn, keep my job activity private, and it will then not promote what you may be looking for, but rather send you a listing of companies who may be interested in the jobs that you would qualify for. And again, based on the keywords in your profile, they'll recommend certain jobs and job functions. So in this example, here's a company that's looking for a director of marketing and communications. Well, that's what I did in the corporate world several years ago. So LinkedIn says, well, gee, if you're looking for a job, that may be a company you'd be interested in. And then you could take it further. You can tell LinkedIn, I'm interested in looking for a job in these specific locations, and then it will return job openings that are only in that location for you. You can set your preferences any way you like. So that gives you the beginner's look, the LinkedIn 101 and maybe 101 and a half on how to make LinkedIn work for you. I want to encourage you to spend time on LinkedIn. If you have a moment, I mean, we are deliberately ending a few minutes earlier than scheduled to give you the chance to go in and absorb what you've seen online today. And I'd encourage you to call me or email me if you have any questions. And so we do have time for questions. I'll entertain as many questions as you present to me. So what's your next step? Well, we'll give you a review of your LinkedIn personal page if you'd like to get some commentary and recommendations on what you might want to add or delete or edit to your profile. I've just put a link in the chat box that will enable you to set up some time with me if you'd like a review. We can do a quick complimentary review if you'd like to do something a little bit more detailed. That link that I've placed in the chat box will enable you to schedule time with me any way you like. So I want to thank you for attending. If you need a speaker for an event, there are 26 different webinars and seminars that we do covering a broad range of topics. And so if there's something that you find of interest to you, let me know. If you're a member of a Rotary, for example, or a Chamber of Commerce, or maybe you have a venue that you'd like to draw new people into, give me a call or send me an email. We'd be happy to arrange to come in and do a presentation. We will actually help you market that event and look forward to an opportunity to work with you. If you're interested in attending any of our upcoming seminars or webinars, this is the URL to go to. And also I have one more poll for you, and that's a question if you'd be interested in attending another LinkedIn webinar. Just yes or no, or not sure, you can just add me to your mailing list and we'd be happy to do that. So I'll leave this open for just another moment or two. Okay, so we'll close that poll. And I want to thank you again for joining me today. We do have time for questions. And here again is my contact information. Again, I encourage you to follow me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Our YouTube channel is very active. We have a multitude of videos posted there. And you can follow us as well on Google+, Pinterest, Instagram. I encourage you to visit our website, visit there often. We're changing content there fairly often. So we'll stand by now and answer any questions you may have. So thank you, everybody, for attending today. We'll stand by for some questions, and I hope you'll attend one of our future classes.